Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. And we've got a couple of great guests with us. We've got Gene here with us as well. Not to say that you're not great, Gene. I didn't mean to leave you out of that description, but because he is great. And we're going to talk with him. He's going to give a social or tech tip, as he does customarily on Fridays. But we've got a couple of awesome guests here, including someone with us that has done $1 billion worth in volume in real estate. And I did say billion with a B, so we'll bring them in a second. But first of all, the sub-billion-dollar agent, the junior grandmaster, is here with us today. Greg McDaniel. Greg, what's up today?
Thank you. You put me in the junior seat so nicely. I should wear a little strap around my waist so I don't fall out because I'm a toddler now. Hey guys, welcome to the Friday show. This is going to be such a great show. I'm super excited. You know, I was talking with you off air about this. I got to spend yesterday up with Andrew and the Live Leap crew. You know, Live Leap is one of the product that helps us get just thousands and thousands and thousands of views. So you guys are watching this on one of the pages. It is because of Live Leap. And it was so much fun hanging with them, man. They are one cool group of cats. And we're going to have them on our show. I talked to them and we're talking about, you know, a live video and how to shoot it the proper way. And then we're going to have another cat on and he's going to talk about how to do YouTube ads efficiently and effectively and easily. I mean, this guy, I talked to him, dude, he got 422 emails in 7 days. It cost 38 cents an email. And some of them he can get it for 12 cents an email. Just what great ways to grow your email lists, guys. So I am on cloud nine. I am dorking out on cameras and video and everything else. And so, yeah, I am blessed. This is awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you for watching. I'm going to pass it over to the Genester.
Yo, that was a little bit of a different intro than last week. Remember how sour he was last week?
I know.
He's having a good day today.
I'm a happy guy. What can I say, man?
I like happy Greg. I like blessed Greg. It's so much better than somebody peed in my cereal.
Oh, that's so true.
How you guys doing? All right?
Awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. So you want me in and out? You want me to get in and out?
No, I want to bring in Melinda and Daniel real quick, guys. So Melinda Estridge and Daniel Schiller, guys, I want you guys just to share real briefly kind of your background, where you are physically and what you guys do, and then we'll jump back to Gene for a second.
Okay, we are real estate agent brokers in the Washington, D.C. metro area, and I'm Melinda Estridge and
Daniel Schuler,
part of our group, and I know we're going to be discussing listings today, that you've got the listing, now what? So we'll be able to hopefully impart 40 years of wisdom to help navigate through mistakes that I've made over the many years and sort of shorten that learning curve just a little bit.
Yes, that is exactly what we're all about. So, I mean, we started the show with exactly that intention. Shorten the learning curve is a great way to describe that, because that's basically what we do, is taking the stuff that used to be behind a paywall or locked in people's heads and, you know, subjected to like $1,500 to $2,000 a month coaching, and basically giving it away for free so that agents that are not necessarily younger in the business, although we do have a fair contingent of that, but people just want to get better and want to build a better business, can get access to that type of information and not have to go, 20, 30, 40 years and make the same mistakes over again. Melinda, before we went on the air, you mentioned that a lot of agents, even veterans, are still making mistakes. I think you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of times people are reliving their same year in real estate over again. They don't have 30 years of experience. They have 30 years of the same exact experience. So essentially they have 1 year of experience under their belt, and that's what we want to shorten up. And we want to not do that.
You all that pre-computers, when I was in the business, you had to get out of the car to make a phone call. There was not this kind of thing or training or anything at all. So the fact that we have the luxury now to share all of this, and I think that one of the biggest mistakes that agents that have been in the business a long time that continue to make mistakes is that they stop tuning into things like this. They are, as Howard Brenton, who was a great real estate trainer for years, and I was one of the Howard Brenton stars. I was very blessed to be able to do that. But he was always talking about getting out of judgment and into curiosity. So if you do something the same way all the time, it's important to listen to how it's done differently to make you a better person, and to stop learning at any point in your career. You'll never know it all. It's always changing. And there's opportunities like this to take advantage of that we do all the time.
Yeah, you know what, Melinda? Actually, this is really, if you guys can see this is a picture. Howard is in the black shirt right there. I am the young toddler on the far side. That is when we were recording with
Harry
my father.
Daniel on the other side. I recognize him.
The big T Diddy. Oh yeah, this is when we were getting
very
inducted.
well. Good friend.
We were. He's my dad. Yeah, he's my dad.
Then I've met you at some of the Howard Brenton seminars.
But I was a snot-nosed little kid, though. I've now matured. See, I have gray in my beard.
Well, you tell your dad that Melinda says hello. We're good friends.
I absolutely will. He'll get a kick out of this. But yeah, I agree with you, Howard. We were talking to another guest of ours lately, and here's another Howard star, and you know what? They have not recreated a Howard Brinton star power. There's been attempts, but there's never been that giving environment where it's just all about giving back into the agents and the real estate community.
Patrick Lilly gets the closest with his conferences because it's a lot of the old Brenton people, but it's a pretty open sharing, getting close, not exactly, but he does a pretty good job.
Well, no one's like Howard that can get up on stage in front of 2,000 to 3,000 people in Tevas and shorts and do a silly dance and get the entire crowd eaten out of his hand. That's a talent.
I agree.
All right, we could go down the rabbit hole on that, and that's actually why we reached out to Melinda to begin with, is that we both were on the speaker session for the last round of Real Estate Success Rocks, the conference that was in South Carolina. So and we've actually spoken in some form or another at the last couple of Patrick's events. And yeah, Patrick is a sweetheart in his own right, and doing the best that he can to get close to that kind of Howard Brinton superstar environment. And so I know he has a heart for bringing together a lot of the same people, but also expanding that out and bringing new people into that world that didn't have the pleasure of experiencing that the first time around. And so I really love what Patrick is doing, and we want to be fully supportive of him. So guys, check out RE Success Rocks, by the way, since we're on the subject. Go check that out. That is Patrick's the site for both the conference and the podcast, which he hosts, which is also excellent. Greg's been on that, and Patrick's been on our show and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. So with all that being said, we'll dive back into Melinda and Daniel's story and what they're doing and the topic of, you got the listing, now what, and all that good stuff in a second. Let's turn back to Gene, the Volpinator. And Gene, what is your social and or tech tip for today?
I have neither social nor tech. So wait, your father, the great grandmaster, doesn't actually watch this show? You have to pass along Melinda's message to say hello? He's not watching the show?
Well, because he's down playing grandpa, dude. He has grandpa duties. He's got like freaking 1,000 grandkids now.
All right.
None of them are mine. Thank you,
slide this time, but he should at least check in on Fridays. Damn.
Okay.
So listen, here's the one I'm bringing to you. It's just a little off the beaten track. It's actually not digital, but it's a play that can get you into digital. So there is something out there called standard industry classification codes, or SIC codes. Maybe you've heard these. And I would be willing to bet that if Melinda's done $1 billion worth of business, she's probably come across something like this in her past life. But this is more along the lines of can be used for mailers, can also be used for email addresses. So basically what a standard industry code is, or I'm saying it wrong, but you understand what I'm saying. It's a SIC code. These are businesses that register with the government, and the government puts them in a list that's compiled in a specific way. So you want a list of all the dentists and their addresses, you can find it there. You want a list of all the dentists in your area and that have email addresses associated with their business and that have recently bought defibrillators, you can find it there. So basically what you could do is you go onto these sites. There's a lot of them out there. You can download a specific list, geography-based. There's a lot of different things. And you can actually, well, let's keep it to the digital side. You can actually pull a bunch of email addresses. Certain lists that are a little bit less expensive aren't as targeted. The more expensive lists are people that have already bought in the category you're looking for, and so they're primed for your business. So depending on what person type of people you want to reach, you can go onto these SIC code sites, pull email addresses for that group of folks, add them into your email marketing campaigns, and then you know the drill. Once we have the email address in our marketing campaigns, we can now target them all over the place. So SIC codes, SIC.
So Gene, you could definitely take those, and then you can do like audiences on Facebook. You can also do like audiences on YouTube, like you learned yesterday. You can really reuse that stuff multiple times. That's why I have hired the Volpe, the evil ninja genius, the bald evil ninja genius that you see in front of you, who is just gonna tear up what we're doing. And dude, we gotta talk later. Side note.
Yep. Call me.
Okay, call me. We'll do lunch. But anyway, that's a great tip. I mean, Melinda, I mean, are you guys using that in DC at all? Are you guys using a variation of that, or are you like you and my father have been in the business? You know, when they had the books, the delivered by taxi, you know, for the MLS. Is that something that you guys have moved into in the later years, like recently, or are you guys staying old school in your marketing and stuff?
Well, you know, when you say old school marketing, I think things that work and have been time tested, geographic farming, I think hands down on almost any level has been one of the best success tools that I've ever used and continues to really give great returns. So in a way, this is geographic farming, but your SIC codes could be farming of the medical community or Army individuals that transfer in and out, or any sort of group of people. Estate attorneys would be an excellent farm and to pull a list from, because they're dealing with people that are dying that need agents to put properties on the market and handle estates. So had I started in that realm, that might have been something that would have been much more useful now than it was in the past. The geographic farming is fairly easy to pull all of the names and to target and hyper target those areas. So we've learned that don't try to do too many things. We use probably 3 or 4 lead generating situations, and then are big on past client because we have a database of over, 10,000 people. So, through the years, you gather all this information. But if someone's starting out and wants to keep in touch and focused with a particular kind, that's an excellent thing to do, and a great thought, and a different kind of farming, if that makes sense. And I think very few agents are doing that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I love where you went with that, because we can go old school, new school, high tech, low tech right off of that. We can go pull the codes, the SIC codes. Then you can go on divorce attorneys, probate attorneys, financial planners, and then go make a 1 or 2 minute little short video, and then take those, put them into YouTube, create like audiences, shoot that video right in front of them, and have them watch a minimum of 30 seconds, and that's branding across the board. And you can do geographical and demographic, tagging and restrictions. So if it's just Danville or Alamo or the Contra Costa County or whatever you want to do, you can really go and get specific lists, and it's in one place. That is an awesome idea, Melinda. I love where you went with that. Yeah. And Gene, you're awesome too, buddy.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm glad you jumped in with that, because when I was thinking about this, I was saying to myself, as for regular businesses, it's brilliant. It's easy to do. You pick out your audience and you just basically carpet bomb them. It doesn't matter. But for somebody in a real estate, niche in your area, it's going to be specific. I mean, most cases, probably most real estate agents aren't going to want to mail or email to dentists, So I sort of get that. So I'm glad she pulled in the attorneys and the state attorneys. I hadn't thought of that stuff, but these are perfect areas to. So the way I look at it is, pull a list down, spend $100 on it, fire it out. You get one attorney that decides they want to turn over all their estate sales to you. You're in good shape.
You're in great shape. I mean, another thing you could do, guys, you could do specific ads or little videos out to niches of restaurant owners, different types of business owners in the area, and offer a coupon out to them. See if you can create different coupons by doing a 2-minute little video by using the codes as well. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do with this with this mind. I mean, good stuff, man.
Yeah, it really comes down to doing the hard mental work first of who is the most valuable people that I can keep, that I can stay in touch with, that can send me business on a regular basis. And once you figure out who those people are, we live in a world that makes it very easy to figure out who they are and then how to get in contact and put a message in front of them. The only question is, do you have an effective message to put in front of them?
Touché, sir.
Yeah. All right, Gene. So what is your effective message, by the way? We put you in front of an audience of potential clients. So, Gene, what is your message to them, and how should they reach out to you?
Here's my message. I got on a video conference call with 4 different rock stars of some capacity today. If you noticed, I was the only one that wasn't a rock star. So visit my website at I feel naked and alone. Visit my website at gvimedia.com and give me a shout. That's all.
All right.
Yep. Good stuff. Yeah, guys, I've hired him. You guys should take a look at him.
Thank you, McD.
You're my pleasure, brother.
Melinda and Daniel, have fun today, and everybody have a great weekend.
Hey, thank you.
All right. So Melinda and Daniel, let's turn back to you. So guys, you mentioned briefly that you're in kind of the DC area. One thing I wanted to potentially go a little bit deeper on was just like the people that you potentially target or maybe want to build relationships with, because you've got a ton of potential. I mean, your average price point in that area, I'm guessing, is like 500 to 600K, but I'm assuming you work, much higher than that, or would like to on a regular basis. So if you wanted to like stretch that price point into $1 million and maybe up to into the 2 and 3 million, what are the types of people, the other types of service providers that you would want to build like a strategic relationship with that will give you access into that pool of more luxury buyers and sellers rather than just your average buyers and sellers?
Well, I think you have to determine what your luxury market is. For some people, 700,000 is a luxury market. In Washington, you're probably talking 3 million and over. So our price range average is about 800 to $1.5 million, but that's just our upper middle class. That's not luxury. So a lot of people are saying, oh my God, if I could only do that in that price range. Understand that each of those listings is much more difficult to get in a much more highly competitive market because everyone's looking for fewer transactions at a higher price. There are people that can do 5 to 10 transactions a year at $1 million apiece and make a nice little side living through personal connections. So it's a very competitive business here. You have to really be on your game. And in answer to your question, when you are looking at people, because most of the time people that are, say, $1 million to $1.5 million are your doctors, attorneys, your upper middle class businessmen that have lived in their properties for a long time. So they often age in the community. So I love my 55 and older group. They usually understand how things work. They don't mind paying full commission. They still seek your advice. It's not the newest shiny penny. They trust results and experience. And they usually are pretty easy to work with in terms of what they need to do and preparing the home and so forth. And I love them because they respect what you do and there's a sense of loyalty. It's interesting that Daniel is working with me now because millennials oftentimes don't understand necessarily loyalty and using the same person over and over again. That's always the way it used to be in years gone by. Now you may sell someone that they were very happy, but they turn around and list with someone else in 5 or 6 years. And you wonder why that happened. And the answer to that is you did what you were supposed to do for those people. You made the transaction go well. You sold them a home. You showed up at settlement. You made sure there were no landmines. But you didn't blow them away so much so that they would say, I would never go anywhere else, but this group. So trying to underpromise and overdeliver with a newer group of people coming up is so much more important. And then keeping in touch emphatically in many different ways to be a resource, because I think now, and Daniel can speak to this more than I, it's the newer, shinier penny or whoever's a neighborhood expert or someone they meet at a soccer game with their children or something else that may be their determinant the next time around giving business. Would you agree with that, Daniel?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think, to kind of answer this point, as well as circling back to some of the things we talked about earlier, as someone who's, in their, still within their first 10 years, I'm 6 years into the business, the two things that I can really hit on that, agents who are starting out or who are trying to jump to that next level, even if they've been in it longer, is having good mentors around you to show you these pitfalls, help you avoid those things. Even Melinda talking about Howard, she's been in it 40 years, yet he's a mentor at that time. So you can never surround yourself enough with good people to show you, how to navigate that windy road. The other thing that I would say is, going back to talking about where you're getting business from and how you're finding new business, pick out, especially when you start, a few streams and then paddle those things like crazy. Right. Don't spread yourself too thin where you're trying to geographic farm, you're trying to do these email lists. You're trying to call for sale, but, pick out a few of them, master them, get yourself listings through it, and then start to supplement after you've really, gotten a lot of momentum in those initial spots.
And circling back around to the theme of this podcast, you've got the listing, now what? Understand that all the money in the world and paying for leads, whether it's farming, Tiger Leads, Boomtown, whatever, if you get the business and then blow it, you've lost everything. Because if you finally get that client and you blow it or lose the listing, you've lost them forever.
Yeah.
So really knowing what you're doing once you do get in that door, you want to make that client a forever client. So the best way, in my opinion, to really start, and Daniel was great at this, was the doing expireds and for sale by owners, because if you blew that, it's not that big a deal, but you get better and better and better. If you geographically farm right out of the gate before you really know what you're doing and have mastered the listing process, you can't afford to blow a few listings in that desired neighborhood because you've lost across the board. Yeah. You need success out of the gate and continued success. So I can't think of, in my 30 targeted years of farming, that I've lost more than 1 or 2 listings in any of my farms. So that was very important to me. If my sign goes up, it's not coming down for somebody else's sign.
I couldn't agree with you more. And the thing that, Melinda, you and Daniel touched on here is something that I'm really kind of diving deep on and really exploring more right now in my own business, and I'm working with a couple of strategic people. It sounds like you have created the entire experience of working with you from start till end, and in the middle, a positive, warm, easy experience. It's not just they're another number, it's a transaction, they're in, they're out, they're gone. It's like you've cultivated them into something that's going to be a lifelong client because they feel like they're appreciated. And for long-term clientele, I mean, you know this and our team knows this. I mean, we do deals where we're doing deals right now with people that Terry met 25 years ago. I mean, 25 years ago. I had an agent tell me the other day that they were really bummed out because they weren't getting leads. I'm like, how long have you been in the business? 3 months. I'm like, get the out of here. Are you serious? And, like back to what you're saying about continual knowledge and learning. Look what I got kicking right next to me. I got the Star Power Buyer University book.
All of the office. Yep.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can never go wrong. You go back to this stuff. You bring it into the new age. You can always reinvent the old content because, like you said in the beginning, going old school can be new school because it's proven. But now we have a different delivery system. That's all. Social media and the internet is just a different delivery system.
Do you agree that all the objections and problems are the same? Those don't change. They change for technology, how you market something and so forth, but the rules are the same, how you deal with people. And that is an interesting point that I think Daniel will touch on as well, because we like the fact when we go in on listings, we have both of our age demographic that, people have a very different way of approaching what they want and how it's delivered. But it's still the face-to-face. And Daniel, I'm trying to impress upon him this. If there's a problem, a hiccup, a needed price reduction, or an issue, hiding behind the emails or texts or whatever, there is nothing that can account for a face-to-face that, hey, I'm coming over, I'll be there in 15 minutes. If it's simply to give them a hug and say, look, everything's okay, or to really make a dedicated, think of it this way, to get a price reduction, if you can go in there in 1 hour and make that happen because you're face-to-face, you've given yourself an opportunity now to get that price sold, rather than shooting off a lot of statistics or we need to lower the price. And I think that it all used to be face-to-face. Now, people never come in for contract presentations. You're often just on the phone with your sellers or buyers. Everyone's docu-signing. They're making decisions without grasping possibly the full situation. So if there's anything old school that I think transcends the test of time, is that face-to-face interaction which builds a little bit more of that trust and believability. Would you agree with that, Daniel?
Yeah, I would. And the face-to-face, I think the big thing that you really get past when you're face-to-face is when you send off an email, that can be read so many different ways. But when you're face-to-face, your tone is clear, your positivity to really work on their behalf and for their benefit shines through, especially when that's sincere. But when you fire an email off, even the most well-typed email could be misinterpreted, and you could have created a bigger enemy out of someone who you should be working together with as an ally.
Well, and you can't be question based on an email. So when you're running into problems, you go to questions. That's the only way you're going to figure out what's happening. You can't do that on an email. You might be able to do it on, and I think we might, would you check to see that we're plugged in? The biggest bummer in the world would be that the battery goes off.
That would be.
So just notice low battery. But it is really important that, you know, and I've tried to teach this to Daniel, that as soon as you hit a wall or an objection, you need to go into question mode.
Yes.
If you're speaking more than they are, questions are everything, and you cannot do that by email, and it's, I think, difficult text. Maybe you can do it by phone, but then it's hard to see what the reaction and body language is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the thing that we talk about all the time when it goes back to Howard is, you know, when he used to talk about going 3 deep or going 5 deep on questions, we have the issue. Let's dig it down and really get under that issue, and then the root cause will show itself, and then you can deal with the problem. And it is so true what you're saying. Everyone who's watching this, either live or in the recorded version or listening to this on the podcast, guys, please hear what she is saying to you, because if you go belly to belly with people, it is still that way. Even though we can do FaceTime, we can do podcasts, we can do live video chat on Facebook and Periscope and everything else, nothing will replace being in the room with the same person. Nothing. Rapport is everything in this business.
Oh, we just noticed that our power cord is unplugged. So we'll... This is live action. I love this. Right over there. You see one? Oh, good.
You know, the thing I like the most about having Star Power stars, on the show is the fact that there's it's like a common thinking. Like, we all have the same thought pattern to bring value, be a professional, get belly to belly, ask questions, find the root cause, instead of just going, look, you're another number, I'm going to use you and I'm going to lose you. Okay? And it's just, there's a lot of agents that just look at everyone as numbers. So guys, please don't stop looking at people in that manner. They're going to appreciate it, and then they're going to refer you because they felt appreciated. And you can't pay for that. You cannot buy that.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. We have a group of agents in our Washington area that we call the Power Players from different companies. We've been together. Remember Stan Bergam?
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell? He started us 25 years ago. We're still together, believe it or not. All different companies, all different agents that network and share together. And the power of that is the improvement of your business over time. They're all agents that are sort of star power quality. Usually have groups or teams and staff and so forth. But we really improve each other's business to be better at listing and to know what to say and what to do once you have the listing, circling back around to this, because I think that's what everyone's really interested in. How do you really manage expectations? How do you hang on to things? How do you get people from A to B so that it's an experience that they're going to be a raving fan, which is really what you're looking to do to build your business.
And see, it's really funny what you just said there. No one picked up on it, I don't think, but top agents are getting together. They work in, probably some of the same cities that are potential competitors, but you share everything with each other. Because you know that, like, if we go on a listing appointment, competing, they may like you over me, or they'll like me over you, but you guys are all in it to win it for each other. And that's the growth mindset.
They're so good, Greg, that there was one agent that walked in because she was a neighborhood expert, but I had sold these people's home. They were looking to buy another one, and she said, "Why are you even talking to me? If you work with Melinda on your sale, you should definitely list your home with her.
Whoa.
So to have that kind of respect for one another, where the agent is more important than the deal, it's sort of the mission statement within the group. And we really do respect each other. If I'm going to lose to someone, I'd rather lose to someone in the group than someone that really has no idea what they're doing. I think the saddest thing at this point in my career is, and you've got to lose some, or you're not doing enough listing appointments. But when you do lose, you try to figure out why and do it better. But to lose to someone that is truly a rookie, you know, that's the saddest thing, I think, knowing you could have done a better job for that client. So it happens, but that part of it can be frustrating. You lose to a power player, and it was maybe there was a better connection or something that they did that resonated with them. But you move on. I mean, you know, hey, makes you sharper, makes you better for the next time.
You know, I had two stories here. I had a guy named Ron Gotti. He's in our office. Super guy, great guy. He's been in the office in the business forever. But he shows respect, and he's done it a couple of times. Instead of trying to poach on clients of ours that come through the open house, he'll literally walk into that door right over here, be like, "Hey, Greg, your clients, here are their names. They came through. They are interested. You might want to give them a call. They seem like really great folks." You know, at another friend of mine, Marasa, she's an agent in our company. She and I would always kind of role play and banter back and forth. And she would say, "Greg, if we go up against each other and I lose to you, I'll be the first one to pat you in the back, say congratulations, but I'm coming for you on the next one." And I'm like, that's the greatest attitude ever. I mean, talk about fun.
Absolutely.
I wish more people saw it that way. But so Matt, do you want to jump in? Do you want to lead us into like kind of like series of questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to get back, Melinda, to what you said. Let's start with the expectations part, because that's where a lot of the battles are won and lost in terms of listings, keeping the listing, marketing it, and getting it sold. So what are some of the expectations that you guys set when you actually do take a listing?
Well, I think when you start in this business to become a good listing professional, write down every single thing you do and then make a system where nothing drops through the cracks. And also write down every problem that you experience and how you overcame it. Because what you're looking to do is to avoid them. You know, what could you have done to avoid that problem? Whether it's getting the Alta sheets a few days before settlement to make sure there are no mistakes and go over it with the seller ahead of time so that they walk into settlement and they've already been through it and there's not going to be a holdup. If people do a walkthrough, final walkthrough, never do it the day of settlement. It's our professional policy, because if there's a problem, you want plenty of time to handle it. And by the way, go buy the home yourself or someone in your group to make sure that nothing has sprung a leak or that trash is there or there's a problem. Those are the things you're doing behind the scenes that are so important to create a smooth transaction, because if the settlement is fraught with issues and complications, it's the last way that client will remember you. So even the big gift baskets or anything else at the end is never going to resonate as much as having a smooth closing when people are stressed. So managing expectations is the big buzzword now or buzz phrase. And my feeling is that it's to help people understand what's going to happen ahead of time, so that when they're actually going through it, they say to you, "Oh yeah, you told me that. You told me that might happen." So they're actually repeating back to you what needs to happen because they've listened to what you've said in advance. And to learn everything that can go wrong, and I know there's a lot of young agents out there when I tell people that it takes a good 6 to 10 years to really become a proficient listing agent. There are people that have been in the business a few years that will tell you they're the greatest thing on earth, and it doesn't take that long at all. I disagree with that because I've not had enough transactions to know everything that can go wrong. And so once you've been through it, you know, it's like saying with a pilot flying a plane, "Oh, I've done this 2 years. I know everything that this captain next to me who's been flying for 20 years knows." And it's just not the case. You've not experienced every bad flight, every weather pattern, everything that might happen. So having that come across, you know, it's really funny. Daniel and I took a listing together and this is another one of the questions that you told us you would talk about, whether or not you want to take the listing.
Yes.
So the real mind shift for any good agent who's living paycheck to paycheck, waiting for the big commission, possibly borrowing money against it, feels desperate to have a listing because it might sell and are willing to give away the store in order to have that listing, or have put so much time into it and feel that they've spent so much time and money, they're going to hang out to the bitter end on the hope that it might sell to recoup the costs they've lost. Kind of like a seller saying, well, I've put in $100,000, I want more than that when I sell the home. So that mind shift is either this is negative returns for me and I need to let it go because it's a time vampire and it's sucking energy from the group and we just don't want this kind of business. Or upfront, have a little checklist in front of you, and if they miss 4 out of the 5, forget it. Overpriced, don't want to stage, only want to give you a 30-day listing, arguing about commission, no motivation. Those are the 5 in that if you don't have at least 3 out of the 5, motivation being the top, do you really want to go through this and have your sign out there? So I go in, and this is really true, and Daniel will confirm, do we want this listing? Is this going to represent who we are? We certainly don't want to put a message out that our houses show like a dump, unless it's marketing it as a handyman special, that
Right.
there are no surprises, and that we price things sky high that sit there forever. So it is something. So this recent client that we've had, which I should be secretly taping every conversation and everything, is we have handled every single objection known to man. But it's fun because it's hit me again. We're going to go, because guess what? We don't care if we get it or not. I mean, I was ready to walk away twice. And what was Howard's biggest line? That when you become less attached to the outcome, it becomes attached to you. And I mean, that is so the truth. If you don't want it, they're hunting you. Well, why don't you want to list my home? It's hard to do and mean it, but if they feel it from you, you often, and if they don't, you really didn't want that listing anyway.
And is it the best thing, like you said, a time vampire? And it's so true, because if you get a time vampire, they're going to not only take your time, but they're going to take your energy, they're going to take your knowledge, they're going to suck the life out of you. And it is so much better to walk away from a toxic deal than try to wade through it with waders on and say, I can make it to the end, I can make it to the end. You will get burned at some point. And you are so right about that. I have done it to several of my clients that I didn't want the deals. I'm like, no, it's probably not the right time. Like, what do you mean it's not the right time? Send the listing agreement. I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, and your staff or your support team, they're taking the biggest hits. And I think that's my one real caveat, that you do not treat my staff badly.
Yes.
You can say anything you want to me, but they're there to help you in doing their best. And at no point will I allow a client, because I rarely lose control or become angry, but I'll be Daniel and I went in to get a price reduction on one of his listings, and the seller became very elevated and contentious over something that he thought we misunderstood and tried to say, we don't want to be taken down the road, and this isn't what. And I said, stop right there. I said, if you feel that we are not honorable, or, I would rather give you your listing back right now. Well, he became very quiet at that point, but I was serious. This was misunderstood, wanted to get back. And I said to him, even at the end, I want to be sure we're back on track now and that we've solved this before we continue forward, or we can't work together and trust in unity. So you need to be able to call that out now and then, figure out, obviously he's upset his house wasn't selling, got the price reduction and a full price offer in 24 hours. So we all know it's price. Not all the wizardry in the world is going to make something sell if the price is wrong, but they get angry at you and the situation and the staff and look for all the little mistakes that they can glom onto because their house isn't selling. This was a situation where we probably could have done some things better. But again, we learned from that every time. Daniel was having a baby, and so there was not communication for a little while, and our gig is always to be in touch at least once a week and sometimes more, and that fell through the cracks a little bit, and we apologize for that. So it's not always going to be perfect, especially since there's so many moving parts in a real estate transaction. But if you're there to apologize when you do make a mistake, make it right, and then next time learn to manage that expectation better so that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and 100%, you have to protect your staff. We've had other agents, I've had clients that talk, negatively or aggressively towards our team manager, Eileen. I'm like, give me their freaking number. I'm going to kick their ass so hard they're going to ask for forgiveness. Because you do not mistreat my staff. I will bitch slap you to the end of the day. And the second thing is control yourself.
They've got to know that you're there to protect them, because here are people that are on a salary that don't need that kind of abuse. We're willing to take it.
Yeah, I have no problem
Getting the profits, but there's a price for that. So, but I think the longer you're in the business, and Daniel is seeing that too, rarely does a client, become unhappy or get nasty. And if they do, it's probably something else happening in their life, which you can't take personally. And I tell my agent partners and my staff, every bit of resistance and frustration that you are hearing from them, understand this is a death or a divorce or a transfer or a move or lots of children or something else happening that is causing these people, to go through one of the biggest stress points of their life. And so we can't take it personally. We always have to have them understand that we know how difficult this is. And because we do it every day, you tend to become a bit cavalier about it. You always have to remember that it's their one transaction and relatively difficult for them. And that although this is something you do every day, you've got to stop, listen, and be sure that you hear what they need to say.
Yeah, I tell a lot of my clients, I say, you guys are going to love me in the beginning, you're going to hate me at some point, and then you're going to love me at the end. They're like, we're never going to hate you. And then the shit hits the fan. I'm like, are you hating me yet? They're like, no. I'm like, I told you would.
That's a good script that I've heard before, and I need to use that again, because I think in the beginning it's easy to laugh with people at that point. And we had a class in our office the other day about overcoming objections, dealing with listings. Yeah. And for all the people that say, oh, I think scripts and dialogues, I don't use them. They're ridiculous. They sound scripted. I'm an automatic person. I shoot from the hip. I need to say that whatever comes out of your mouth and the way it's poised is a script. Everything can be done in a different manner, with a different elevation in your voice, a different cadence, pace. You might use one script on one person. We all know the DSIC. Another script on another personality, but they are scripts, no matter what anyone says, whether it's natural or something you practice. But it really helps to do sort of back and forth role playing with another agent or family. Be the most difficult seller, be the most difficult listing presentation, and what are you going to say to that person? Because you know that your answer is right, but how do you get them to see it? How can you tailor it where, oh, that makes sense? So if you can turn it around a bit, so this difficult client says to us, who was listed with her amateur realtor sister for 2 years, no deal. So now she's taking it from the sister and listing with us. And she said, well, Melinda, if it's just a matter of lowering the price, which is what you're telling me to do, why wouldn't I just relist with my sister and lower the price? So and she caught me when I'm walking down the street in the city. And I sat there and I said, well, let me ask you a question. If you're in a courtroom or on an operating table, I said, does it matter? The attorney, they both have their medical degree, law degree. They both know how to go into court and what's happening. But if this is a heart transplant or a settlement for you for a personal injury that's going to mean the rest of your life, are you doing it with somebody who does it now and then, or is the best in the business? So it's not just about the price. Price is important, but the agent making that happen, not to mention the fact we talked you into the lower price. Your sister did not. So these things just start to roll. And she goes, oh, I never thought about that. Well, you know, the smartest people in the world, we have another script we love. When a person's been on the market for a long time, they turn down the third contract, which is about the same price. I look them right in the eye and say, you're still the highest bidder for your own home. You just bought it back. And if you're comfortable with that, so be it. But it just doesn't occur to them. Maybe you are the person that loves the home the best, and maybe you should stay. Let's talk about that.
That's so great.
And that's the pullback method right there again. They're like, no, we got to sell. You're like, okay, then let's the market is speaking to us. We should adjust to what the market's saying. It's not what I'm saying, it's what the market's saying.
Greg, you just said a very important thing that someone might have missed. We are always ready to tell that person to rent it or to stay. Always.
Always. So
right up front, it's like, look, if your home doesn't sell, how will that affect your plans? Okay, it's a question. And that's fine. So we'll get to a certain point and let's talk about staying. And we've got a rent versus sell spreadsheet. We've got all kinds of things, but maybe you should stay for a couple of years. Let me give you the pros and cons of that, but let's talk about that because it's plan B. Suddenly, your commission goes out of it. And when they really take a look at it, that's not what they're looking to do. But if you're willing to pull back, they're going to say, you know what, maybe it will take that price reduction.
Yeah, and it is such a powerful stance to hold. It can be scary as shit because you especially if that's your only listing or something. But if it's in the best interest of the client, you've got to be willing to let go of it. Like you said,
that is exactly right.
Do not be committed to the outcome. Do not be committed to the outcome.
And I have a Google review that I was very proud of just recently, where there's a couple I'd sold a home to a few years ago. The price really hadn't gone up that much. They wanted to sell and buy something less expensive because they wanted to send their kid to a very expensive private school. And I said to them, I would hate to see you sell this house now, not only after selling costs and going into the other. Let's figure out a way where you can stay and make this work because now's not the right. And I meant that with all my heart. So we ended up taking an investment property, selling that. And he said nicely, without my encouraging, she walked away from a huge commission here by telling us the right thing. So if you do and I know that sounds very altruistic, but if you do the right thing and you are truly, looking at the client's best interest, then you'll never go wrong. And even if it doesn't mean a sale at that point, those people never forget you.
They'll never forget you because you're client-minded, not commission-minded.
My cat is ready to join the podcast.
Oh, mine does that all the time.
You guys are separated from birth.
He's heard me talking about real estate for the last 16 years. So.
Oh, that's funny. All right, guys, I want to make sure we covered something real quick in the last few minutes that we had left. I want to have you guys each kind of give like what's your perspective, maybe what's one thing that each of you feel is key to going from working predominantly with buyers to making that transition to working mostly with sellers. And Melinda, let's start with you, but I want to get Daniel's input on it before we close down.
Daniel's going to be much more, good with this because I think that I learned earlier on that if you perfect your skills, buyers see what you're doing every day. So they know you're there for them and it's kind of fun. You bond going out, showing them things, you get close. When you're listing, there's more competition. It used to be no one ever interviewed for a buyer agent. Now you're seeing more of that. But sellers usually always in this market and this price point interview a few people. So your skills need to be a lot sharper. But I think that with listings, you control your time so much better because they have to sell. A buyer doesn't have to buy. And I suppose you could say a seller doesn't have to sell, but I think you've got an 80% chance that they want and have to transact versus a buyer who may not. So you can spend so much time with a buyer where if you put the systems in place for a listing, your chances are, at least for us, 99% that's going to sell within the first few weeks. That's our market, and I think we do it well. And so you can carry more listings than you can having buyers run you all over town. So it's a management of time, but I think you have to become a good buyer agent before you can shift into the seller portion. And so I would like Daniel, because he's just starting to list after these 6 years and becoming very good at it, but needed to go through that buyer agency period. And I'll let you talk about how he started shifting.
Yeah, there's no question that I would resonate sort of what Melinda's getting into, that there's no price you can put on the tuition of working with buyers to figure out those pitfalls that come up in every transaction, even if you're on the other side of it to start. But then you can segue that into becoming very good on the listing side. And then I think the biggest shift for me, and that I think other agents can see or decide to make when they want to move to listings, is just being very deliberate about finding and seeking out that client. It's easy to pick up buyers. You can sit on open houses. You can, post things on social media. And you'll run into people who are looking to buy. They're easy to meet. The biggest difference between that buyer client and that seller is the seller's the one paying the commission. And that's why it's so much harder to earn that business. But when you become deliberate in telling the people in your network, networking with financial planners, with all these people we were talking about earlier in the podcast, when you are training them on the type of client you're looking for, that's who they're going to bring to you. If you're telling everyone that you want to work with buyers, that's who you're going to get. You're going to get what you ask for. But if you start training yourself to express to those around you that you are primarily a listing agent, that will happen. And I think the other part that I really made a deliberate shift was, I write a business plan in October for the next year, every year. And over the past 3 years, my business plan, if you put them next to each other, you can see that it went from, I want to do 30% of my business as listings next year, to 45% the following year, to 60% the next year. And what you'll see is the number of transactions over those 3 years went up. But what I've always shared with Melinda is I felt like I had more time, even though I was working with more clients, to do other things that I wanted or to look at other ways to grow business. Because like she said, you just get so much more control of your time as you become not just a listing agent, but when you become a proficient listing agent, and there's a big difference.
Yeah. Whatever you set your sights on.
I said, I'm so proud. Daniel's one of the few people that started out arriving at the office at 7 a.m, making expired and for sale by owner calls when he started. Now he's moved beyond that for the most part and has a vibrant business. A geographic farm is moving ahead. Most agents are not willing to put in that time and hard work, and it is so paid off for him because he and one of my other agent partners is taking over our business in probably 5 years. So like you did with your father, Greg, but because Bob and I weren't fortunate enough to have children, this is great to have agent partners where I know that my legacy, what I've worked so hard on building, doesn't just fall away as I start to retire and do less business. So knowing that he put in the time, I'll be able to hand this lucrative legacy to them and hope that they'll be able to carry that on and make a difference in their lives, which will make a difference in mine.
Yeah, and Daniel, you are literally learning from one of the best. I know you already know that, but dude, you stepped up to the plate, homeboy, and you knocked it out of the park, and you're going to reap the rewards for it. So kudos to you, my friend. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
Very cool.
All
Well,
right.
guys, remind everyone of kind of where you're at in that DC metro area, and if you can get referrals, where would you like them to come into you, and how would you like people to reach you?
Well, we deal with all of Washington, D.C. and close in Maryland, which is Bethesda and Chevy Chase. I'm sure you've heard of Bethesda, NIH, Navy Medical, all of that. And then our other agent partner, Scott, does a lot in Northern Virginia. So Old Town, Alexandria, Arlington, Falls Church, because he lives in Arlington. So all of the people in the Washington, D.C. area are licensed in 3 jurisdictions for the most part, which makes it sort of interesting because different contracts, different rules and regulations. But we cover each of us has our areas of expertise, which is great. So best way to contact us, probably email, which is info@estridgegroup.com, my last name group.com. Number is 301-657-9700. We love referrals. We treat referrals with as much dignity as we do our clients, letting agents know what's happening through every part of the transaction and giving them a good feeling that this job will be done when they give us a referral. So
Yeah.
we love them.
We all do, don't we? And so it's like, here's a hot, steaming hot client. Just go, don't kill him.
Well, if anyone has any questions about some of this or is interested in, our pre-listing book or, like Howard said, there are no secrets. We are an open book. We're happy to share what we have and what we do to make somebody else better. So that's fine too. If someone's interested, and we didn't even get into actions.
There was somebody earlier that I think it was Dave Pennell, actually. He's been on the show before. He's a fantastic agent down in Texas. Asked if you were willing to share your admin checklist. So yeah, just anything that will help people. If you're willing to share it, have people reach out to you guys. Take advantage of that. So anything pre-listing package, if you guys are willing to share that, that would be an amazing resource for somebody who's making that transition from buyer to listing agent to have access to those types of materials that they can use, that they can learn from.
Our listing questionnaire as well that we bring in to the listing appointment, because we do a question-based listing appointment. So those questions are, very, very helpful, and we're happy to share them.
Yeah, those are so huge. Just having that idea of the questions to ask and having them right in front of you so that they can see that it shows them right off the bat that you are not there to be a dancing monkey making a presentation hoping to win their business, that you are not qualifying them in a negative sense, but your focus is on, let's see if we're a good fit to work together and help me to understand your situation best, and here's how I'm going to do that. Like, it sets the amazing tone for a listing right off the bat.
It really does.
Love it. All right, Greg, we do have to shut this down. We could talk.
Excuse me, are you going to play those drums or that guitar in the corner? I was expecting a wrap-up with a drum solo.
Sadly, no.
You have other interests.
Oh, my God, that is awesome. You going to play that or what?
You going to play it? No, it just collects dust.
What about?
Oh, that's funny. All right, guys. So we have our class coming up. I think Greg just put the email in. Aaron Warren says, please say the email again. So it is info@theestridgegroup.com, right?
Or info@estridgegroup.com. Either one gets to us.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Good deal. And so for us guys, just go check out getnowbusiness.com. That is our latest class. It starts up. The next session is on Monday, guys. So Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So you got the weekend to sign up. So really you should get in there and sign up now. We only take 20 classes per session on that. We want to keep them small because we want to talk individually with you guys. We want to be able to, role play and help you out with your scripting and phrasing. And it's all about 2 things. It's going after and strategically targeting the people that you have a connection with or that have a demonstrated need. Those are the 2 groups of people that are the key to getting business now, and we define now as getting them into your pipelines that they close within 90 days. And that is not an easy feat. So you have to be very strategic about who you go after. So if you're in that position where you need to get clients in the pipeline that have a legitimate shot of closing in 90 days, this class is for you. So go check it out, guys, at getnowbusiness.com. And Greg, how do people follow us?
Wear trench coats, dark glasses, and hide in the bushes. No.
Besides that.
Greg, you're so much like your father, I can't help.
I know.
That does not surprise me at all.
You guys, I want you guys to go to our Facebook pages. Please follow us. You can see what we're doing. I do Facebook Live Monday through Thursdays most weeks, live cold calls. You'll see the objections handlers that I use live and on the fly. You guys can watch that. Matt is going to get back into doing his live stuff. You can see his content. He is a prolific reader. You'll be able to watch and see what he's reading. Also, you guys will be able to watch this Facebook Live and podcast, and you interact with us. But also, guys, if you guys have any listings or buyers here in the San Francisco East Bay, my team would love to handle them for you. So get a hold of me, guys. I will actually, Matt, I'm going to start. It's a new segment. I'm just springing this on Matt. But, guys, I'm going to start giving my phone number out again like I haven't done for quite a long. It's going to haunt your dreams again, Johnson.
I know.
So, guys, call me, 925-915. 1978 with any referrals for the San Francisco East Bay. Our team would love to handle them. But sign up for the class, guys. We do this podcast because Matt and I absolutely love you guys. We want to see you succeed. We are beyond impressed and touched when we get feedback that something on the show has changed your life, or you got a listener, or you got a buyer, or you negotiated something amazing because of a tip and trick that we showed you, or a guest like our guest today we're able to give you. Guys, share those successes with us. We want to watch you. We want to be your biggest advocates, pat you on the back, give you a big hug, a high five when you guys make those wins. So that is it. We love you to pieces. You guys, please stay here for a wrap up of the show. But besides that, peace out, ninjas. We gone.